What is up guys, it's Cal, and in this video I'm going to show you how to get the trophy Fire and Brimstone in God of War. Now to get this trophy you need to complete all of the trials of Muspelheim, and to get into Muspelheim you need to find 4 ciphers out in the world from Skull Legendary Chests. I made a video on all the collectibles in God of War, so make sure to check that out. But anyways, how the trials work. You'll travel to Muspelheim from the Realm Travel Room, and you'll be met with this, what looks like a giant sword in the ground. You can walk up to it and start your first trial, which this first trial has you kill all of the enemies before time runs out. Now also something to note is you should come here once you've beaten the game. In fact, I came here after I did Niflheim, since Niflheim gives you I think the best gear in the game, but you can do this one before or after you decide to go to Niflheim. I just recommend doing it after you've beaten the main story. So anyways, this first trial, kill all the enemies before time runs out. You have 3 minutes to kill 15 enemies. It's pretty straightforward. And then when you've completed it, you can open the legendary chest, which will give you materials to upgrade end of the game items. Then head back to the sword that's lodged in the ground, and you can start the hard version of the first trial. Each trial has a normal, hard, and impossible level of difficulty, and there's a total of 6 trials, so this hard version of the first trial is actually pretty annoying. You have to kill enemies in quick succession because if you don't kill the enemies fast enough, then they'll regenerate. So the first wave gives you 3 standard enemies, and you must kill them in quick succession. It's not too difficult. Next wave gives you a troll and a witch. Since the troll is the bigger of the enemies, hurt him until you can press R3 on him, and then head to the witch. It does make it a bit more useful if you damage both enemies before killing one enemy and then moving on to the next. Then this final wave was, well, it was a bit annoying for me. It gave you a few wolves and some of those dudes that bury into the ground, so it was a total of 5 enemies. Just take them out in quick succession to finish up, and make sure to grab your legendary chest. Now we won't worry about the impossible difficulty yet, mainly since you can't even do that until you reach the end. So gate is going to open, and you can continue on to trial 2. The normal version of Trial 2 just wants you to survive 5 minutes. It's easy, it just takes 5 minutes to complete. Now the hard version of the trial has you kill enemies that instantly regenerate health. This one's a bit more difficult because you can't just use normal attacks on them, and some runic attacks won't cut it unless you can just straight up one-shot them. So there's really a couple ways to go about taking out these enemies. If your strength is high enough, you can just run up to them and hold R2 to do your heavy attack with the greatest amount of force. My strength was just a bit shy of 300, so this method did work for me. Now this method won't completely work, since they then throw enemies at you that have a lot more health. So there is a ledge, and there's also a pit of lava for this exact reason. Use whatever runic attack or abilities to hit the enemies into the lava to instantly take them out. A light runic attack I used for this that helped me out was Leviathan's Wake. It does a lot of damage, but it also forces enemies in one direction far ways. That runic attack is picked up at the end of the castle in Veethergard. But then after you finish those trials, make sure to grab your rewards and move on to trial 3. The normal version of this trial will spawn this dark elf with a lot of health. As soon as he comes out, use everything to get as much damage on him as possible, because adds will start to spawn. When there are other monsters alive, the dark elf will not take any damage, so you'll need to take out those monsters to damage the dark elf. And it really just kinda goes like that. Kill enemies, then kill the dark elf to finish this trial. The hard version of this trial will spawn gold rings. Well, 1 gold ring to start with. And you have to kill 5 enemies in 2 minutes while the enemies are in that gold ring. When the enemies come into the gold rings, use all those high strength abilities we talked about before to take them out, but probably not Leviathan's Wake, unless you're using it to knock them into the gold rings. Also, Trace's shock arrows are good for this to stun enemies when they're in the gold ring. After you kill 5 enemies in that first gold ring within a couple of minutes, a new gold ring will spawn and you have 3 minutes to kill enemies in that gold ring. So do the same strategy. Then 1 more gold ring will spawn, and you have 4 minutes this time. The only difference is that this gold ring will change locations, so be aware of that. Don't kill an enemy if the gold ring is about to disappear. So kill 5 enemies like that in 4 minutes, and you can grab your materials and move on to the 4th trial. The normal version of this trial is easy. It just takes a while to do. You have to kill 100 enemies, but it never really rapid fires enemies at you, so you really just take your sweet time, kill enemies. They do throw trolls at you at certain points, which is nice since you can use them to kill enemies, but just keep doing that to finish this trial. The hard version of this trial isn't too difficult either. You have to make sure enemies do not capture Atreus, whatever that means. The enemies can run up to Atreus and take a hold of him, and you'll notice this because he'll be yelling for help, and there will be like a red mark on him indicating that he's captured. This only happened to me like a couple of times during the normal story playthrough, so it never happened to me through this trial. I believe if he's captured 3 times, then you fail the trial, so make sure enemies don't get near Atreus. Once you finish this trial, make sure to grab your legendary chest, and you can head on to the 5th trial. The normal version of this trial isn't too difficult. It'll give you a timer, and every time you kill an enemy, the timer goes up. Just kill enemies before the timer reaches 0. They do throw travelers at you at certain points which take longer to kill, so keep that in mind. Also Soul Eaters, and when the Soul Eaters came out, that was the only time my time reached below 1 minute. So remember to throw your axe at their stomach once they open it, throw the glowing orbs at them, and press R3 on them when their red bar gets full. Then the hard version of this trial has you kill 20 enemies without taking any damage. So it's a pretty straightforward concept. Just watch out for the enemies like nightmares who like to spit things at you. I just stayed back from a distance and kept throwing my axe at everything to kill it. And then finally, once you loot those chests, you'll climb to the top of the mountain and you'll be met with a Valkyrie. This is what I like to call trial 5.5. Because it's technically not trial 6, but you have to kill her to move on to trial 6. So if you're decked out in good gear and have killed Valkyries before, she really isn't that difficult. In fact, I did kill her in my first attempt, but I'm going to keep my entire attempt of killing her in this video so you can look at it and know how to do the same. Then when you kill her, make sure to pick up the loot which contains the Raging Inferno of Muspelheim that you can purchase a Chaos Flame with to level your Chaos Blades. Now after that, loot the legendary chests and then a new blade lodged into the ground will appear. Now if you walk up to this one and try to start it, it'll tell you that it requires 3 keys. These keys are acquired by completing the impossible difficulties of the other trials in Muspelheim, although you only need to complete 3 of them. So you really want to find which 3 are the easiest. Now this is one of the trials I'd recommend doing. Trial 2, and from the Mystical Gateway you would pick Area 2 to teleport to, because the impossible difficulty of this one has you kill all the enemies before time runs out. You're given 4 minutes, and you just have to keep killing enemies until you win. It doesn't tell you how many enemies are left, so just keep killing, and it took me about 2.5 minutes. Then make sure to loot the legendary chests, because these legendary chests give you some good rewards due to the higher difficulty, plus the key you need for the 6th trial. The next trial I'd recommend would be Trial 3, or Area 3 from the Mystical Gateway. This is another one where you have to kill enemies inside the gold rings. You're given 3 minutes to kill 10 enemies in the first gold ring. A lot of the enemies are wolves, which are pretty easy to kill. Then the ring changes, and you're given 4 minutes to kill 10 enemies in this one. So do the same thing. And then the final gold ring, oddly enough, doesn't change positions. But you're given 4 minutes to kill enemies in this one. Then the next one I recommend teleporting to is Area 5 and doing the 5th trial on impossible difficulty. This is similar to one you've done before where you have to kill enemies to increase your time. This one just takes longer to do. So do that. Just kill all the enemies you see. They do also throw travelers at you, which take a bit more to kill, but I really didn't even go under 1 minute on this one. And then after you complete this trial, grab the legendary chest and you'll get your 3rd key. Use the Mystical Gateway back to the top and you can then start the 6th trial, which gives you 8 minutes to kill as many enemies as possible. It says that bronze is 20 enemies defeated, silver is 35, and gold is 50. Now I'm not sure which is required to get the trophy because it's incredibly easy to get gold. Just go on a killing spree, and I actually ended up finishing killing 81 enemies. So once you do that, the trophy will appear. Make sure to open the new legendary chests, and that is how you get the Fire and Brimstone trophy.